They've been assisted by volunteers from the Government Relations Committee at the Chamber. Sarah Trustum, thank you for being here today. Deanne Sheeler, thank you for being here today, and many others as well. The state of the Chamber in 30 seconds, okay? As society becomes more mobile and more globally connected, I appreciate each and every one of you who look locally first. Okay? You look locally for your business, your healthcare, your education, your recreation, your information, perspiration. I gotta keep trying to rhyme here. Okay? Thank you for supporting local first. That's what we're all about, and bringing people together. Once again, our presenting sponsor for this event is Bravera. At this time, please welcome Jared Steffen of Bravera.
Thank you, Carter. Thank you, everyone, for showing up today. I'm sure it's going to be a lot of good information we're going to hear from all those involved. I got to apologize a little bit here, so I kind of forgot that I had to give a little welcoming speech here, so I quickly jotted some things down before I came up. First off, I'd like to thank the Chamber and everyone behind the scenes. I know these things don't happen very easily, and a lot of these things go unnoticed, so thank you to everyone involved in putting something like this on. Great for the community, great for everyone involved. Like Carter said, I am Jared Steffen, Regional President with Bravera Bank. We are proud to be the presenting sponsor of today's event. Not only does Bravera remain a local community bank, but we're also, the fact that we're I'm going to back up here a little bit. The fact that we're employee and director owned community means a lot to us. And because of that, not only do we to see a lot of good the city's doing, but we try to encourage that to whether it's the city, whether it's personal businesses that we finance, whether it's the hometown mom and pop checking accounts. We take great pride in being one of the premier financial supporters of the community that we serve in. One thing I will say, showing up here today, I think last year when we did this, there was about 3 feet of snow everywhere we went. So being that it's almost 50 degrees outside in sunshine, I am thoroughly looking forward to what this winter has so far. With that said, Bravera has 520 total employees. 120 of those live and work in the Dickinson area. So a large chunk of our employees are right here. This is our home base. This city, this community, Southwest North Dakota as a whole means a lot to our roots. Dickinson was officially founded, according to the website, in 1883. Bravera traces our roots back to 1909. So it's safe to say that we've both been around a long time, and both have seen the highs and lows, but it's how do you come back from those highs and lows? You know, the most recent one that obviously this area has gone through is the downturn in oil. Obviously we've been through those multiple times, but this last one is pretty recent. And I think it's fair to say that the whole area as a whole has come back very strong from that, and look forward to what the future holds on the horizon. So with that, look forward to today's event. Hopefully enjoy your lunch, and thank you all for coming.
We'd also like to thank our supporting sponsors, including the City of Dickinson, Consolidated, Wing Construction, and our lunch sponsors, including Apex Engineering, Baker Boy, CHI, ConocoPhillips, Dakota Community Bank and Trust, Fisher Industries, and Home and Land Company. The year 2024 has arrived. It appears spring has arrived, and we're all here to talk about the top political issues of our time. Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce. I did, but I will be paying attention to who she endorsed in Western North Dakota as well. I'd like to publicly thank Governor Burgum for choosing Dickinson for last week's State of the State address. His message encouraged us to aim high when we tell our own story as a city and as a region. Today's program has two small differences compared to the governor's State of the State. Number one, we're serving you lunch. And number two, today's speakers have time limits. We plan to wrap up no later than 1:30. I'd like to thank all of the elected officials that we have in our audience today Of course, including Mayor Decker, along with members of the Dickinson City Commission, members of the Stark County Commission, along with Sheriff Lee, elected leaders of the Dickinson Park Board and the Dickinson Public School Board, and Senator Rummel of District 37. We are also joined today by Corby Kemmer from the office of Representative Kelly Armstrong. He drew the short straw and is sitting next to my parents. Please welcome Corby from Representative Armstrong's office. Mom and Dad, thanks for being here. At this time, I'd like to invite Pastor Ron Dizell forward as he will offer grace before our meal today.
You know, you made a huge mistake because you forgot to give me a time limit. And I'm a pastor, so even before we pray, though, I just want to say I look out and I think it takes a lot of people to make the community what it is. And so I'm not from Dickinson originally. And I remember driving into town, never been to Dickinson before in my life, over 30 years ago, coming to see Dickinson State University. And I loved the town the first time I saw it. And my wife and I love the community, and it wouldn't be what it is without every single person that's here. And so personally, thank you for what you do. And let's pray. Almighty God, what an honor it is, Lord, to just pause for a moment and remember that you are our King of Kings and Lord of Lords. You are our good provider. If we have anything good in our lives, it is because you have caused it to be so. And so, Lord, we thank you. We thank you for this community. Lord, I thank you for every person in this room, for the role that they play in making Dickinson what it is. And Lord, we seek your blessing and your favor on our community. We seek your blessing and your favor on our leaders, on those who provide such necessary services, and everyone is necessary. And so, Lord, I thank you. Lord, we thank you for the food that we're about to eat, and we recognize it is a gift from you as well. And so, Lord, we praise you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Hello again, everyone. I hope you're enjoying good conversation and those first few bites of your meal. Let's give a hand to our hosts at the Astoria Hotel. Again, from the Dickinson Area Chamber of Commerce, I'd like to offer a welcome to our State of the City luncheon, including those watching a recording of today's program on Consolidated Channel 18. Let's give a hand to Ron and Trace and the Consolidated team. Mayor Scott Decker is a native of Dickinson, North Dakota, and served 21 years in the United States Army and in the North Dakota Army National Guard. After active duty that included Operation Desert Storm, he returned home to continue his education at DSU, and he became the full-time recruiter for the North Dakota Army National Guard until his military retirement in 2010. He then went to work in the Bakken oil field as a right-of-way agent for Diamond Resources, then as a trainer for an oil field safety company. He was first elected to the Dickinson City Commission in 2014 and became its president, the mayor, in 2016. At this time, please welcome the mayor of Dickinson, Scott Decker.
Get everything ready up here, and I may have to pull out the glasses because right before the meeting here, this presentation, I was handed this beautifully written hand note by Janelle at Southwest Arts and Science, but I did not specify font size to her. On that funny note, over the Christmas holiday, any of you that know my family know that we like to play a little pinochle. And some people have described it as like combat pinochle. And we hadn't played in years, gotten a bunch of people together. And so my brother arranged, and had a bunch of individuals from the community come over, and we're gonna have a vigorous game of pinochle. And we'd known it'd been a long time, but we just couldn't remember how long it's been since we had the whole group together. And the one gentleman, and I don't know if he's here today, but he said, "I know it's been a long time." And we were like, "Well, how do you know, Garrett?" And he goes, points to our noses, and there's readers hanging off about 5 of us faces. We didn't have readers in the past playing pinochle, so maybe they have to transfer over to safety glasses the way we play. So, but welcome to the state of the city for Dickinson, North Dakota. And I am so appreciative, much like Pastor Ron said, to this community and the individuals that participate every day to make it the most amazing city in the state of North Dakota. So I want to get just a round of applause for everybody. I'm going to be bringing up a few people, asking them to stand just because I want to offer thanks. Thanks Carter and his amazing staff and volunteers at the Chamber to put this event on every year, and thank you for the panelists that agreed to be part of the State of the City. As we move forward, some of the topics we'll be covering will be our financial update, of course our 2023 success stories, and our 2024 goals and opportunities. And I want to take a little bit of time here to thank City Administrator Dossinger, Deputy City Administrator Carlson, and Joel and the staff, their support staff. If you please stand up, let people know who you are. They put together this presentation for all of you, and I'm very appreciative of their hard work and effort every day. Thank you. Moving into our financial update, the city as a whole is very sound. And we have worked very hard to make sure that Dickinson stays on track and we are not burdened by excessive debt. As a city commission, we have set goals, and our city staff have worked vigorously to stick to those goals. And as we move into our revenue comparison, we have up here our 2023 and 2022, and you can see they're very similar as in the past years. Large oil impact, a large amount of money from sales tax. We'll move into debt summary, and as you can see, over the past 7 years, we have continuously, moved to lowering the debt in the city. I know when I came on the city commission in 2014, we were well north of $100 million in debt, and we have worked every year to bring this debt down. This debt, we may accumulate a few more loans in the coming years, and I'll speak to those further into the presentation today. But right now, we're working hard every day to get that $52 million even lower. And for a city our size to be at $52 million in comparison to other cities across the state, we are in very good shape. Our sales tax rate, as this chart shows, a Southwest sales tax rate and also a North Dakota sales tax rate. And the reason I wanted this chart in here is to show how important it is when we go forward with petitions or the opportunity to raise our sales tax, how much money we generate and how low we are compared to the rest of the state. And that sales tax, if we can go back a couple slides in reverse, as you look at it, that sales tax generates over $10 million. We only collect, as a whole, $4.7 million in property tax. And moving forward with the opportunity of the Presidential Library and that connection to tourism and to the amount of people that are going to be traveling through our region, we need to take advantage of those individuals that will be passing through our city, and they will pay taxes to help support our city. And I can't think of a better way than a sales tax. We can move forward to the mill levy. As you look here, since I've been in the office as mayor, we've only had one increase to the amount we collect, and that was in 2017. We roughly, went up about $74,000. And since then, we have held the line as a city at $5.7 million. And when I tell people this across the state, other mayors, other city administrators, they have no idea why. And I can tell you that is all the hard work from our city commissioners and our city staff. We are very lean. We work very hard to keep our property taxes low. And by the next slide, you can see in comparison to where we're at in the rest of the state. We are second in the state, only to Williston, in the amount of property tax, how low it is, what we collect. And to me, that is, like I said, a testament to how hard city staff works and how hard the city commission works to keep these property taxes low for everyone in our great city. Next, we'll move on to our successes. And, ours is, it'll be spelled correctly, not like the state of the state at the end, where maybe I was the only one that caught that. But what a grand success right here for all of you that, and I hope you got to participate at Legacy Square last year and come out and all the great events and basically had the opportunity to witness some great entertainment, great community building, and having that the food trucks there and having those individuals bring their culture to Dickinson and have the opportunity. And you can see right there, Tiger Lily. I don't think we're going to get Tiger Lily back anytime soon. I think they're getting pretty big right now, but they are more than welcome. And you can also see some of the numbers if you want to fast forward to a couple of slides. Joel put together for us some of the attendance. The lowest attendance was 700 people, and that was the opening weekend. And basically, that was on a like I said, it was on a weekend. Typically, we have this Thursday night when we have concerts. And knowing what timelines we had and everything, that June 24th had to be a weekend for the grand opening. So that's our lowest attendance, and I know by then most people are at the lake or doing other summer activities. So we're hoping to have Ron Keel and his group back so we can turn out much larger numbers for them. But overall, the numbers were pretty awesome, as you can see. We did have one rain out, Miss Kat Perkins last year, and we're working really hard, and I think Joel maybe even secured her to come back this year. So hopefully we won't have one rain out. Moving on with our successes, one of the things that we have developed and have completed in 2023 was our South Cemetery expansion. And that is just the first phase of a need that has been growing in our city and was requested by a lot of the funeral homes. We were running out of spaces. We were running out of different items. And well, I'll have you go back when I skipped over the mausoleum. We also added this great new mausoleum, again, to the growing need within our community, and hard work by Public Works and city staff to get this completed, our planner and our city engineers, and again, Public Works to get this done and completed. So I'm very excited. Like I said, the growing demand. And then the South Cemetery, we hope to expand the South Cemetery to include a section of it for our veterans, and also I would like to have an area for the individuals that we are so privileged to have serve in our emergency services. Our firefighters and our police officers have a section there, a service cemetery so those individuals can be recognized for their hard work and time in our community. One of the things, I don't have a slide, but it does play into the next, if we go to the 2023 city contributions, is we have our Southwest Area CTE Academy, and we'll have Mr. Anderson up here to speak to that during the panel. For those of you that haven't had an opportunity to tour this facility, make it a point to get out there. This is an amazing facility, and when you see what they have to work with and what Dickinson Public Schools has done to provide to this community in the Southwest area, and you hear the stories about how excited kids are to be in that facility, it is a testament to their hard work and the vision of the school district, and I would just like to give them a round of applause for bringing this to Southwest North Dakota. And that's just a start for the school district, right? Now we're going to have a new school built too, so we're excited about that, and it's about time. And thank you, voters, for our passing that bond referendum to build this new facility. A great asset to Dickinson was the Sanford Sports Complex that was added and completed, and the first games were played last year. And this year, there'll be multiple tournaments. So we're looking forward to that. People filling our hotels, eating in our restaurants, spending money locally. The Southwest Arts Gallery and Science Center. The city made a donation to that great facility, and they, thanks to the Fongs, they purchased that building and then graciously worked out a deal with the Southwest Art Gallery and Science Center, and they're in there right now. And like I said to this note, I'm going to try to read it without the glasses. They're providing programming, and they're starting with youth events this spring, and they're continuing to raise funds for the development of future science center. The project is a testament to the impact of passionate citizens, and it is. They are very passionate, and I thank them. And the first art exhibit will be open to the public tomorrow from 4 to 7 p.m. And so stop in and support them and learn more about the project. So I'm very excited about the Southwest Art Gallery and Science Center. And then the city has also contributed to the West River Community Center to the tune of $800,000 for upgrades to that facility. The city also contributed another $250,000 to Friendship Park, which is a great success. That was opened last year. And I know it's greatly appreciated, and I just drove by there today, and there's kids out there enjoying themselves today in this beautiful weather. And we're going to continue to, as a city commission, work towards those quality of life projects. I think it's very important as a city that we do items like that. Now, moving into 2024, and our goals and our opportunities. And challenges, I'll add. Right now, development and our construction growth is probably at its max, but we are pushing forward to our city planner, our city engineer, our public works. We're pushing forward to help individuals move forward with their development plans and bring quality living facilities and other type of commercial growth to our area. Working with Stark Development to continue to work on workforce. It is a challenge for everyone in this room. I was just talking with an individual in the back, and they're challenged every day. They were down a couple of workers in early fall, and then all of a sudden right before Christmas they were down about 10 workers. Now they're trying to work back and get that full workforce. It is a challenge out here, and to the governor's point, we need to do a better job of selling ourselves. I mean, it was brutal for 2 weeks. 2 weeks of really cold weather. But that's every year. We just lived through it, and now look at it. It's beautiful. I see people walking around in shorts. My son lives in Nashville. They got 8 inches of snow, and it was an apocalypse. They couldn't move. He's driving his four-wheel drive truck around down there, and there are people yelling at him to quit driving. I mean, we lived through this. We're tougher than this, and we can bring people here and show them the beauty of this area and show them what we have to offer and not say, yeah, well, it's going to get cold. There's bad weather everywhere, folks. I lived in the South. I lived down south for 9 years at Fort Benning, Georgia. I went through 3 hurricanes. I'd rather go through a blizzard. I can shovel snow. I can't shovel water. You know, we have to sell ourselves and bring people here. And I think there's a growing faction of Americans that want to get out of the populated areas, and they want to come to where there's calm and there's quality of life features that they can bring their families to, and there's great school systems, which we do. We have a great educational community here between the public and the private and the university. We just have a great system here. Again, housing, one of the things the city's going to do, we own a quarter of land on the south side of Dickinson. Many of you may not know that, but we do. It's where our fire training center is right now, and also our inert landfill. We're in development right now to look at that 111 acres that are possible to develop, and looking at maybe some kind of retirement community on that land that could connect to our trail system and also connect to the golf course. Our challenge moving forward, and I'll say this, I never thought that we would run out of water, but we are. We need more water out here. We need a second intake, and we've been working not only with Southwest Water and their representatives, but also the state to get that second intake completed. It is right now a challenge for us when it comes to economic development, and we're looking at large projects coming here, and we basically have to tell them we don't have enough water. We're maxed out. We have enough water for all the citizens. You don't have to be afraid of that. It's just when it comes to economic development, we need more water. So that's the challenge moving forward for us. And I'll say Southwest Water has been great to work with. We set up regular meetings, and we also, on a regular basis, we meet with state officials. We're trying to solve this problem. So it takes time, and then not only time, but money. And that also, our challenge is our water reclamation facility. This was built years ago, and everybody said that, oh, it's way out in the future. Well, folks, we're reaching the max. So we have to look at expanding that water reclamation center and make sure that we build it out for this growing community in this growing region, because not only do we treat the wastewater from the citizens every day, we have industrial wastewater that needs to be treated. And that's a growing demand, and so we're looking really hard at our water reclamation facility. And that goes along with the Baylor building. And up here, the Baylor building expansion, we're looking at about a $9 million facility to expand the Baylor building, so there's multiple scales and easier drop-off points and a better working conditions for our growing staff out there, plus expanding of our recycling program to commercial and high-density residential. So those are the challenges that are really going forward for us as a city, but there's also so much opportunity. And I am so thankful to be in this position to represent all of you, because I couldn't be prouder. When I talk to state officials, I know they probably think that I'm just trying to hype up the city, but there's no hype. We are what we are. We're great. And I'm just so appreciative that going forward that I get to represent this city and bring our message not only to North Dakota, but to the world. I get to go to Washington, D.C. here in a couple of weeks and bring the message of the Theodore Roosevelt Expressway to those senators and representatives, and bring them back to Dickinson this fall for a big conference to talk about the expansion of that 4 lanes and what it means not only to the oil field, but to Dickinson. And I can't sing the praises enough. There's a few other people I would like to stand up. The remaining staff that's here, Our firefighters, please stand up. Public Works, Human Relations, Engineering, please stand up. I want everybody to give you guys a round of applause. You've been through a lot in the last 2 weeks. It's too bad that we couldn't have them all here, but there is work to do on a daily basis. So I do want to thank all of staff for all their hard work. And in closing, we are going to go forward with a community survey for 2024 that the city will be pushing out, dickinson.gov.com, and we would like to hear some of your opinions on what we're doing right, what we're doing wrong, and things that we can do to enhance our city a little bit more. I think it's a great city the way it is, but there's always opportunity, and we just like to hear about it and hear it from different individuals. Again, I'd like to thank all of you for being here. You make Dickinson great, and I'd just like to say there is no better place to live than this city. And we live in the greatest country, in the greatest state, in the greatest city, and I thank God every day for it. So thank you so much.
That handsome young man on the screen right now is the Chamber Board President, Kyler Swan, Cornerstone Bank. We'll tell you why he's up there shortly. Again, thank you, Mayor Decker, for your leadership and your perspective today. The Chamber ambassadors were present for many of those major milestones for the city in the year 2023. As we transition to our panel, let's take about 3 minutes and look at the work of the Chamber Ambassadors Committee.
Hi, my name is Carter Fong. I'm the Executive Director at the Dickinson Area Chamber of Commerce, and every community needs great ambassadors. And every chamber needs volunteers to help put on community events to make others feel welcome. Let's meet the Chamber Ambassadors.
Ambassadors Committee is here to welcome new businesses to town, so we do ribbon cuttings monthly. We like to highlight new businesses in town, milestone events, exciting new projects that are happening within our community. Today we're doing a couple of ribbon cuttings here, have 3 new businesses here in St. Joe's Plaza. Sort of the headliner event though was our ribbon cutting for the Heartview Foundation, which is a new inpatient and I believe outpatient rehab facility here. A service that's much needed within the community, so we're really excited to have them here in town.
We've pulled together a great group today to show you that the community, the business community, are excited about a new chapter here at St. Joe's Plaza. Many of us were born in this building. Okay, we're now here on the 4th floor for a new chapter. Exciting with the arrival of Heartview Foundation, an entity that will support Dickinson's workforce. Okay. In lieu of giving everybody's name, I would just like the Chamber Ambassadors, if you're a Chamber Ambassador, give us a wave right now so we know who you are. These are volunteers from the community, businesses of all kinds who are excited about your arrival, who volunteer their time to the Chamber and the community.
So the Ambassadors Committee has been around for a decent amount of time. I just joined last year, so I'm not sure on the exact date of how old they are. But I know a lot of people who are on it have been doing it for a long time. It's just an opportunity for us to connect with the community and celebrate with people and new businesses as they're opening up.
At the Chamber, we're always looking to build our network of ambassadors so that we can say to the community that we know someone who understands your industry, your language, your favorite hobbies, your family circumstances, or maybe all of the above. The Chamber Ambassadors are a fun-loving group. If you're interested, or for more information on joining the Chamber Ambassadors, give us a call at 701-225-5115 or visit our website, dickinsonchamber.org.
Pastor Joel didn't know how old the committee was. It's old. We're going to be celebrating our 117th annual banquet coming up. Don't know that they've been around for 117 years, but been around for a while. Thank you to those volunteers. We're going to make a substitution in today's program, and Mark, you've got a long way to walk up. So at this time, I want you to be aware of a major milestone that happened yesterday at the Theodore Roosevelt Presidential Library construction site, and I'm inviting forward Mark Melmer of J.E. Dunn to go ahead and give us that update. Please welcome Mark Melmer.
Gotta bend this down. So I got tapped about 30 minutes ago to come up here, so I was not prepared for this, and I didn't dress the part, but I did wear my Dickinson Public Safety Center jacket, so I'm feeling okay. Robbie Loff was supposed to speak on this today on behalf of the Theodore Roosevelt Presidential Library, and if you read the program, you'll know I'm not Robbie because I did not graduate from the Harvard Kennedy School of Government, and I was not a senior advisor to Governor Burgum. I appreciate it. And yesterday, we did have a monumental event out at the Theodore Roosevelt Library project. It has, everybody's heard a lot of things about how the project is progressing and a lot of the goals of the projects and things of the project and things like that. But J.E. Dunn took it upon themselves to do something outside of the box, and we did something that we didn't really ask permission for, and we just did it, and we're really proud of it. We took and we're at the highest point of the construction project before we start building the roof structure. So we're 18 feet in the air, and that's the earthen berm and retaining wall structure. So we dug a hole, we poured a foundation, and we stuck a 30-foot flagpole in it. And we left that flagpole bare, and we asked the director of the American Legion for the state of North Dakota to come out and hang the first flag. And we expanded upon that, and we said, you know what? Let's invite military service members, let's invite our veterans, let's invite our first responders, police and fire from the entire area. And with that, we had a lot of different business entities, a lot of government entities, and a lot of veterans that came out there. There was a color guard ceremony, and I will tell you, being from Dickinson, I was extremely honored that so many of you showed up. There's a beautiful article in the newspaper here today, and we made the morning and the day all about raising that flag above that facility, honoring that facility, and we all learned a little bit about what Theodore Roosevelt did for the military and the American Legion. So with that, I just want to say thanks again, and we appreciate first responders, we appreciate the military, and we honor the flag, and that's what we did. So thank you.
Yeah, we were prepared to look at the TR library from one angle, but at the same time knowing that Stark Development 3 weeks from now at their annual meeting, we'll be hearing from Amy McCann of the TR library from her angle and her perspective. She is in the audience today. We are not stealing your thunder, but please give a hand to Amy. And sign yourselves up for the Stark Development annual meeting. I believe February 20th is the date of their event. Okay? We move forward with a panel of two, and they have plenty to share with the community as well. I'll take on the moderator role. Before we do that, I want to thank one more group. We have the DSU Theodore Roosevelt Presidential Scholars assisting with the technology, and Griffin's about to move the podium for us, but let's thank the DSU TR Scholars. Okay, give us a moment. We'll transition to that panel, and we'll welcome forward Senator Rummel and Aaron Anderson at this time. There's not much comfortable about having a 45-minute conversation in front of 250 people, but we did get them nice, comfortable chairs at the very least, okay? So welcome, and here's our panel today. The last three questions will come from 3 TR scholars, so we look forward to that as well. Again, Aaron and Senator Dean Rummel, welcome. We're glad to have you here today. And we move forward. I was a former basketball coach. Think of this as three-man weave. Each of them, their bio is in front of you, so I won't read their bio to you, but I'm going to give you a little nugget on how I met each one of these individuals for the first time. Senator Rummel was the parent of a boys tennis player 15 years ago or so when I coached the Dickinson High boys tennis team at the time. He was, as you would expect, a very mild-mannered tennis fan. Tennis crowds tend to be pretty mild-mannered and they behave. I was also a basketball coach. We're going to find out soon if we have more of a tennis crowd or more of a basketball crowd today. How's that sound? Okay. And then Aaron Anderson, I got to know him. He's done great work in our community the last couple years. Good memory I have is that we had the opportunity to take a Boss helicopter ride to Devil's Lake, and I believe we flew over the top of your grandparents' farmstead near Harvey. How am I doing on that? Let's check your microphone. Tell us more about that. Try again.
Can you hear me now? Oh, perfect.
There we go.
Yeah, that was the unique thing. It was great taking that Boss flight with the North Dakota National Guard, and Carter and I got to enjoy. And it's a loud ride if you've ever been in one of those Blackhawks. And I'm lit up, pointing down, going, "That's my family's farm right there." So it just happened to be in the flight path from Dickinson. So wonderful opportunity that I had, and great to be a part of it. And all the businesses that were a part of that Boss flight.
You bet. You know, you have a vocational ag background, and now you transition to leadership Southwest CTE. We call ourselves the Dickinson Area Chamber of Commerce. That word area means something to us. We hope to bring a regional perspective beyond city limits. You are the Southwest CTE Center. You've incorporated that in your own way in the name, but let's make sure everyone's aware of all of the regional partner schools that you have at Southwest CTE.
Yeah, that's the unique thing about the project. You know, Dickinson Public Schools has really taken the leadership in purchasing the campus, but currently Southwest CTE is a separate public school entity that's made up of 7 high school partners as well as Dickinson State University. So obviously Dickinson Public Schools, Trinity Catholic, Beach, Belfield, South Hart, Killdeer, and New England. And so we're excited. Right now we have 5 high schools that are sending students daily to our campus, taking advantage of classes, and we hope to continue to grow and expand on that. In addition to those 7 partner schools that are officially part of our governance board, it's opening up opportunities for Hope Christian Academy, homeschool students, and we hope to continue to add school partners as we progress and continue to add programming. So I think in the end, we hope that we can serve all 12 public high schools, all the public schools, homeschool students, and continue to grow and expand our reach, both with our partner at Dickinson State University as well as adult learning in that as well. So truly exciting.
Yeah, and I think you have other regional schools. I know Bowman County is one of them where there are logistics to be worked out yet, not officially a partner, but knocking on your door wanting to get in as well.
Yeah, that's exactly it. People are knocking on the door saying they want to come. There's some work we're going to have to do with the legislature this upcoming session. A lot of our governance structure management, the way we charge fees, is outlined in North Dakota Century Code. Being we're a unique center that covers a large geographical region, sometimes that poses some challenges, but we're excited to still provide opportunities. Carter talked about Bowman. Right now they have our robotic welder that we were able to purchase, and so we trained up their high school ag teacher, and now those students in Bowman are getting advantage of some of the resources that we have available through our academy, as well as other schools in our region that might not formally be our partner yet.
Yeah. Softball question coming next. There are 13 of these tech academies around the state. Tell us why Dickinson's is the best.
It is, and I have a biased opinion, but I tell people when they come on the tour, we truly are a one project. Those 12 other expansion projects around the state are great. They're providing opportunities for our students, but truly we're one of one, and that's for a number of reasons. First, it's the programming. Before we started programs, we really did a very thorough, comprehensive local needs assessment, looked at employment data, talked to you as employers in our community, in our region, said, what do we need? And so we were able to bring new programs online to help fill some of those workforce gaps that we had. And the programs that we're offering, a lot of them are one of one. They're unique. You talk about heavy equipment operators. We start our students in a state-of-the-art simulation lab. Well, now they're actually, here in about an hour, we'll be out in our sandbox operating actual equipment, digging holes, moving dirt, and talk about an experience and opening up new career opportunities. Culinary arts program, it's fantastic. Our diesel tech program, it's amazing what we have high school students do in the diesel world, as well as working with our local partners to provide placement. I look in front of me and the relationships that we have with the Dickinson Fire Department and the Dickinson Police Department. We're the only high school entity in the state that offers a public safety pathway with both fire certification as well as law enforcement classes. Add that to dental, pharmacy, the list goes on and on. So currently we have 14 programs in operation, and a lot of them are unique to the state of North Dakota, so that's really exciting. The other thing that really makes us unique, one of one, is that partnership with Dickinson State University. Just after Christmas, the second semester, the DSU welding program started operations out of Building B at the Southwest CTE campus. And right now, they're hiring a diesel tech instructor, and we're excited this summer for a DSU diesel tech program to launch out of the Southwest CTE campus. So you look at that collaborative piece, that shared resources, and now creating that pathway from 9 through 16 education. Only one other project in the state, in Fargo, is there that tie with secondary and post-secondary, but I'd like to say ours is the strongest bond, and it's going to create a great pathway for our community here in Southwest North Dakota. And lastly, it's the people. When I was hired to take on this role and help lead the development the continued development of Southwest CTE, I said Dickinson was a special place. I got to echo the mayor's, we need to tell our story. We need to make sure people know how wonderful Dickinson is. But it's our community. You start with the city, it's the county, our legislative leaders, our business community. We couldn't make this project happen if it wasn't for their support. Those of you that invested in the project and into our students. I'd love to name all of our business partners, all of our sponsors, donors, but I'd miss some because there's so many. And then in addition to Dickinson Public Schools and what they've done in purchasing that campus, ultimately that 40-acre campus, 3 buildings, gives us the opportunity to do something so special. We have a sandbox, we have a CDL driving course, future expansion and growth for maybe agricultural plots. The things that we can do with that space, if we were, say, Mandan, they're building a new CTE facility on top of their new high school. It's wonderful, but they don't have acreage that they can bring CTE programming to life, where we have that dedicated campus to really do some really special things.
You've been on the topic of storytelling. I'm inviting you soon to tell your one favorite success story before we transition to Senator Rummel, who's had it pretty easy thus far. My favorite story from your campus, I saw a student sitting on a simulator whose t-shirt said, "I have paused my video game to re-enter society." Okay, and this student is thriving on your campus, and he's a video gamer on the side, but now he can be productive and put that skill to use. How about a favorite success story from yourself?
One favorite one's going to be challenging, so I'm probably going to break the rules, Carter, and share a couple of them. I'm sorry. I know we have a time limit, but last week Governor Burgum highlighted one of our great students, Lance Koskovich, and his placement with Fisher. Those are easy ones because we have dozens of students with those same types of stories. The governor just decided Lance was the prototype that he wanted to talk about CTE across the state, so that's great. One really neat story, CDL class just started with our students, 11 students enrolled in the class. First day of school, we found out only 2 of them knew how to drive a stick. Well, guess what? If you didn't grow up on a farm or ranch, your parents didn't own a manual transmission vehicle, how do you know how to drive it? And so that's a testament to our programs in opening up new opportunities for non-traditional placement to enter our workforce. And so that happens with a lot of our programs. But the neatest story, I guess, is the kids want to be in our facility. They come early to class, they stay late. Typically every night we have to push the kids out the door at 4:30, 4:45 so our teachers can go home. But in October, that late October snowstorm that we had, we still had classes, but a lot of our partner schools canceled that day, and so they had a snow day. Well, 3 young men from South Hart, even though they had storm day, got up early, drove through the blizzard because they did not want to miss diesel class that day. And so I look at myself as a 17-year-old kid, I would have taken advantage of that storm day and slept in. but it's just a testament to our teachers, our programs, that kids really want to come to our campus.
Yeah, a lot of great stories, and we'll hear more from you in just a second. I do need Griffin to bring me my black cell phone right here so I can keep track of time here on stage as we transition to Senator Rummel. And we don't have our TR panelist, but I'm going to use my TR transitions to you anyway. I've got two of them. TR would say, respect the man in the arena, or the woman in the arena who has put him or herself forward as a candidate for public office. Thank you for your service, District 37. And I also know that your hobby is photography in Theodore Roosevelt National Park, and I bet that that's a good escape, a getaway for you when you need it from legislative sessions. So again, thank you, Senator Rummel, for your service. Opportunity, 30 seconds to tell the crowd about your photography, if you'd like.
Well, thanks, Carter. I really appreciate that. Photography is an outlet, obviously, and when you get out in the Badlands, there's a few things that work for me. One is your cell phone doesn't work usually, which is absolutely marvelous when you serve in the legislature. You are contacted every once in a while. But we have one of the greatest treasures in the TR National Park. When we look at what's out there, you look at the wildlife, and you look at what's available to us. It's only a few minutes from, actually it's 23 minutes driving 75 miles an hour from here. It's really easy to get to, and so it allows me to enjoy the one hobby that I can still have, which is photography. So
there you go.
Thanks.
It's a good hobby, and I enjoy seeing your work out there as well. I want to ask you a little bit about your service in the legislature versus your own expectations as an elected official. North Dakota is one of the few states that does not have annual legislative sessions. It's every other year, the odd number years. Yet when I see you around town in your off season, you are carrying this thick notebook or binder full of material, and you're coming from one meeting to the next meeting. I don't know if that's what you were told to expect in the legislature now, but tell you about your service. You're no longer a rookie. Tell us about it.
I'm still a rookie there, Carter. I certainly want to thank you again and thank the Chamber for this, but I also have my predecessor here today, Senator Rich Wardner, and he didn't tell me everything that I was supposed to do when he persuaded me to run for the Senate. And what I found out, or what I can tell you, is that it's rather intense. When we look at the session itself, there was just under 1,000 bills that were introduced. Each one of them receive a hearing, obviously you know that, and they also receive a vote. We don't have any staff as legislators, so we have to kind of read a lot of stuff, and we have to make sure we stay on top of all of those bills. So it was a great learning experience. I'm going to tell you right up front, I have a lot to learn. When we look at the entire budget of the state of North Dakota, it's $19.6 billion. And if anybody can tell you that they can get their hands around this in a short period of time, I would really question that, because there is so much to learn, and in a short period of time, you have to get your hands, like I say, around all of that. So I look at the committee work. So I'll just give you one example. I serve on Finance and Tax. Finance and Tax, of course, did House Bill 1158. 1158 is the one that you're probably hearing a lot about right now. 1158 has the income tax reduction, so we went from five brackets down to 3 brackets. We zeroed out the bottom bracket, so 60% of North Dakotans do not pay any income tax. We also had in there a homestead tax expansion, and so we wanted to make sure everybody 65 years and above. We eliminated what's called the asset test. They no longer have to prove their assets, and there's which is really nice for a lot of the elderly. Nobody should lose their homes anymore at 65 and above for back taxes, because the homestead tax credit will step in and pay all the taxes for anybody that has less than $70,000 as a married couple worth of taxable income in the state of North Dakota. And then, of course, the third piece is all your primary residences here in the state of North Dakota get $500 tax credit. And the reason I tell you that is the committee, the Finance and Tax Committee from the House, sent the Senate 3 competing bills for income tax and property tax reduction. The Senate passed one to the House, and the Senate was very much in favor of property tax reduction. The House was very much in favor of eliminating income taxes. And so what happened is both of us reject all of our bills. It goes to a conference committee. And unfortunately, as a rookie, they appointed 3 senators, 3 representatives to the conference committee to work this thing out. It took us 13 meetings, 13 sessions to get to an agreement between the House and the Senate. We finally did it. It's not what the governor wanted, because as you heard at the State Address, he still would like to eliminate income taxes. So I tell you that during my career, I worked with budgets all the time. I have never worked with this quite as large a budget, $19.6 million. Of course, the general fund is $6.1 billion. And so it is a very challenging thing for term limits. I bring that up. I bring that up because term limits long-term is not going to be good for North Dakota. And I'll talk a little bit further about that. But having 8 years in the Senate, I would be surprised that anybody can get their hands around all of the right questions to ask. And so
The legislative stalemate you talked about, we don't have, okay, Representative Mike LaFleur, District 37, and Representative Vicky Steiner wanted to be here, couldn't be here, but they're also not here to defend themselves. I assume it's the House's fault, those 13 meetings, is that correct? Okay, correct, okay. On the topic of service, back in 2022, the Chamber had candidate forums, and our formatting depended on the number of candidates that we had putting their name forward for elected office, with only one exception. We had a series of uncontested races for local elections in the year 2022, and we're now in a term limits era as voted upon by a majority of North Dakotans as well. What are you seeing statewide in terms of willingness to run for office? Where do you think we might be headed, and how do we turn it positive?
First, civic engagement, of course, is the glue that holds self-government together. We need civic engagement. Again, with those term limits, we're already seeing a lot of turnover in the legislature. So the first session that I was at, I was elected in 22. Of course, we went into 23 in the session. There was 13 new senators. So if we look at, that was nearly 30% of all the senators turned in that one session. I'm hearing right now that there's 9 additional senators that are not running, that have been serving. And so we have another 20, 22, 23% turning. Of course, it is hard to get people to run for the legislature. So if we look at employers, you have to give up your employee for 4 months every other year. So from January 1st until April 30th, you have to give up your employee if you're going to allow them to serve in the legislature. So I always say that you have to be independently wealthy or retired to serve. And that's truly unfortunate. This is a citizen legislature. We need to have involvement. So we need to talk about what we should do. It's getting difficult to fill seats in boards and committees. And I looked at a national survey. The 4 reasons for doing that is lack of information. COVID has really helped us with that, because everything any senator or representative says in the legislature is recorded. So you can go back and see everything that I said on the floor of the Senate or in any of my committees that I serve. And that's with every legislator. All of us are recorded. You get to see. So COVID has helped us with the lack of information. If you want to learn about anything, you have that option very easily to go online to the legislative website, and you can look up any legislator, you can look up any bill, you can look up there's a lot of ways to look up information. The second reason is that a lot of people feel unwelcome, or they feel like they're underqualified. There we can help them with. The things that we can do as employers usually is to ask them to get involved, and to suggest and certainly provide incentives for them to get involved, and I'll talk further about that later. And then, of course, inadequate childcare. Childcare is a big issue, as we all know. We tried to deal with that during the legislative session. There was a lot of money that was thrown at childcare. Workforce development was our number one issue. We could not pass any bill out of committee without showing what impact on workforce that particular bill would have. So there was a very, very lot of concentrated effort to work on workforce development. And lastly, work schedules get in the way of most individuals. But again, COVID has allowed for some flexible work schedules. So we need to develop leaders. How do you do that? One of the best ways to do that, to develop leadership, especially within your organizations, is to allow them to get involved locally. And that's where it all starts. Employees can gain experience and they can gain confidence while helping the nonprofits that they serve for. So I always thought when I was working at TMI for the 37 years that I was there, is that if you want to develop leaderships, let them make mistakes with nonprofit boards. Let them have their learning experiences with other organizations, because it'll help your organization if they can make things happen and be a leader in a nonprofit, they will definitely be better in their work environment.
How does that sound, nonprofits? Make their mistakes with you. We'll correct those mistakes too, but get your experience there. Good.
Okay, we'll get in trouble for that, I'm sure.
I think we corrected it well. Go ahead.
I know.
I derailed you from a good list you had going.
That's okay. That's quite all right. How we get people involved, there's some steps. We can get them to vote. We can get them to legislate. Of course, we can get them to build coalitions, speaking out to solve problems locally here. And so we need business people in the legislature. We've got to have business people. They have the experience, the knowledge of the many things that you're going to deal with. And if we look at the biggest budgets in the state legislature, which obviously is education, health and human services, and safety, if we look at that, you could bring so much to the table with the knowledge that you have, no matter what kind of business that you're working in, because there's all kinds of connections. And I have to, tell you that what you learn there, again, will help your organizations. So I have some additional information later that I will share. So back to you, Kurt.
And we're sure going to try to get to it. We are at about halftime already of the panel in the arena. So appreciate your perspective, Senator Rummel. Senator Rummel is also, he wears this hat, he will be part of the teacher recruitment and retention task force, although they have not met yet, so no update there. But I do want to pivot back to you, Aaron, on that topic. Your instructors at your campus are industry professionals. They probably need a little bit of training, classroom management, to get up to speed and deal with Johnny, who might be shooting spitballs in the back of the room. Or maybe you don't have hardly any behaviors at all that you have to worry about. How is that going, and how do you get your industry professionals up to speed classroom management?
Yeah, thanks for the question. I wish we didn't have behaviors challenges, but they're high school kids. High school kids make mistakes. They're probably better students than I was when I was in school, but we don't have the level of behaviors and challenges that a traditional high school setting would probably have, especially not what the middle school has, or even some of our elementaries. But yeah, all of our staff, all of our teachers up there are industry professionals, so they're bringing their expertise from those professions and teaching it to our students. I talked about our students really wanting to be there, and the engagement in our class. It's there, but it's understanding that pedagogy of learning, teaching, classroom management. And so the state has a program in place that requires all of our first-year teachers to go through. It's called Transition to Teaching. So our teachers go through that, but then it's, working with the public school. Dickinson Public Schools employs a number of instructional coaches. We bring in some retired staff, retired administrators, just to provide the supports to our teachers. Do we wish we could provide more? Absolutely. I think every administrator, every education professional would love to provide even more supports and services for our teachers. But I think what we're doing is doing a good job. Our teachers are, just this morning we had 2 teachers in an instructional round with one of our coaches, and so that's kind of how we try to bring them up to speed and make sure they can deliver that effective instruction to our students.
Yeah, I've taken your tour, and I think very few behaviors. These are engaged students, hands-on learning. About 500 students cycle through your campus right now, but good experience, and a possible portion of the solution to the need for good teachers in the classroom and qualified individuals as well. Really only one more question from me, and one more will come from a TR scholar, but I'm combining 2 into 1 here, but a little bit on the funding model, private plus public, that has supported CTE thus far, and how do we make it sustainable? And a little bit on, did any wish list items get trimmed from CTE, and are there future opportunities to add those back?
Yeah, thanks for the question. As Senator Rummel indicated, last legislative session and special session, a real big focus was on workforce development. And career and technical education, while it's a piece of the solution, it's not the cure-all end solution, but to give those students exposure and excitement about opportunities right here in our backyard, career tech ed plays a big role in that. And so a lot of our baseline funding for operation is an allocation from our legislature each session that funnels through the Department of Career and Technical Education. Most people don't realize there is a whole separate agency within the state capital that serves and oversees career and technical education. And so while we're partners with Department of Public Instruction, there's an agency that we work with and report to with that regard. In addition, the fees that are assessed to our partner schools, but ultimately it's been a big investment. City of Dickinson, Stark County, Dunn County, and then our business partners that have contributed financially has set us up really, really well to meet the needs of our students here and provide those programs. We were a little worried there for a while. Some of the funding was federal coronavirus money that was funneling through the state to support our startup. And so there was a little bit of uncertainty right away on if we would have enough funds to bring all of our projects to life. And so in addition to the inflationary costs of construction costs continue to grow and rise. And so we had to cut a number of things out of our project, but with support of the legislature, with additional industry support, we've gotten the additional resources. And so now we can have conversations about bringing things back into the project. Just this past month, we were able to do a significant change order, the construction term, to add 3 additional classroom spaces in Building C, just with our growing student population. And so some of our wish list items are coming back in. There's still a few that we don't probably have enough resources available to do yet, but we're still in partnership with Dickinson Heritage Foundation, Ty and the group, and us. We still have that goal of raising an additional $5 million to really make sure we get this project across the finish line. We're still going to do some great things. We are doing great things. We want to continue to grow and expand and increase our opportunities with students. And so with additional support from not only public but also private investment, it's going to be great. As far as the sustainability, we've set ourselves up really, really well. Bravera is a partner here. They were generous enough to help us start an endowment. And so we hope to continue to grow that endowment for Southwest Area CTE Academy, but also long looking and saying, what are our costs, and making sure we take the conservative approach and some changes with our infrastructure, new boiler, heating system, lighting, lower those operational costs just to make sure this is sustainable for decades to come.
Yeah, we're dreaming big for our young people. I'm going to give you the question that I would have had Robbie answer on behalf of the TR Library, and he won't be here to answer it, but I needed you to hear it. There's a dream to try to get, I believe, every 4th grader and every 8th grader in the state of North Dakota out to the TR Library. My question to Robbie was going to be, have you ever met an 8th grader? And are you sure you're ready for them? My 4th grade daughter in the mail yesterday got her first musical instrument, a recorder. Okay, think about what that sounds like. Are you ready for the 4th graders and 8th graders? Robbie not here to answer that question, but we're dreaming big for our young people. Private, public, both are in play. Senator Rummel, we got to talk about Uncle Sam a little bit here, and the traditional taxpayer-based and funding model to support essential services, and we're going to touch on property taxes. There's a lot to unpack here, but
property tax, sales tax, income tax. All three are part of the three-legged stool we traditionally talk about. There's a proposal on the table to eliminate property taxes. Let's begin, though, by tell us who currently pays property taxes. What does that pie look like for the state of North Dakota?
Thanks, Carter. I like to divide property taxes into two groups. I call it non-income producing property and income producing property. And so if we look at non-income producing property, the only component there is residential. And if we look at income producing property, there's three. It's commercial, agricultural, and centrally assessed. A lot of people don't know what centrally assessed is. Centrally assessed is where Burlington Northern Santa Fe, so your rail, your pipelines, your power lines, your airlines are assessed based on various formulas, but they're assessed at the state level, and then those dollars are paid back to the various counties, and they disperse based on taxable where the property is at. So if we look at who's actually paying, commercial pays 30% of the entire property tax bill in the state. Agricultural pays 20%, centrally assessed pays 8%, and the remainder, 42%, is paid by residents. So what we tried to do is have targeted property tax relief. Where we were hearing from is the residential side of things. We were not hearing from commercial. We were not hearing from centrally assessed. But we were definitely hearing from the property, from the residential property side of things. So that's where our focus was, specifically from the Senate and from House Bill 1158. You saw those components come out of there, trying to relieve some of the property tax in a targeted way towards the residential property.
Yeah, I want to approach this as if it were a healthcare perspective. There's a diagnosis the majority would probably agree upon here when you look at the state of North Dakota and nationwide. Folks have seen inflationary costs from 2020 to 2023. They are looking at the state's relatively healthy budget position right now and seeing maybe forecasted revenue exceeding what was budgeted as well. And they're wondering, where and when can I expect to see some relief? Make sure we are aware of opportunities that are already available and what you might be working on in the year ahead.
We can talk about that. I want to first talk about unintended consequences. There's some unintended consequences that I'm really concerned about with the initiated measure to eliminate property taxes. In my opinion, that is not good for the state of North Dakota. Let me tell you why. There's a fairness issue to start with. The fairness issue that I'm going to give you is an example, okay? Some political subdivisions do a really good job of managing their mill levies. Some political subdivisions don't do as well. But the way the initiated measure reads is we're replacing everything that's going to be levied in 2024. Now, if I'm sitting on the school board, which I did for 11 years, what I would do is take it to the maximum, because the state is going to replace whatever I have in 2024. Now, school districts, though, are limited by Century Code to 70 mills. They cannot levy more than 70 unless they go to a vote of the people. There's one major school district in the state that has done that, Fargo Public Schools. I don't want to pick on Fargo because there's 11 senators in Cass County, and they will get after me, I'm sure, but I'm going to pick on them anyway. Fargo went to a vote, and they're levying 127 mills, where everybody else is only allowed to do 70 mills. So what does that mean to Bismarck, Dickinson, Williston, Valley City, Devil's Lake, Grand Forks, and Jamestown? Is that they're all at 70. If we replace whatever they're levying, Fargo Public Schools will get $55 million more than anybody else. And I can show you examples of townships, rural fire districts, ambulance districts, park districts, city, county, and others, where it's not fair that we just step in as a state and replace that $2.5 billion worth of property taxes that is collected. That doesn't make any sense. There's a fairness issue. The other issues that I have is many political subdivisions have no taxing authority. Unless you're a home rule charter, you have no sales tax. So the initiated measure says, well, you need to go out and raise those extra funds. All these political subdivisions, whether a park, a county, a city, everybody has a lot of people that they employ. And if inflation steps in, we just experienced a 9% inflation. If inflation steps in, how are they going to pay those and keep their employees? 70% of most school districts is people related. It's benefits, teachers, administrators, and all cooks, bus drivers, and everything else at a school district. When you have inflation, how are you going to raise those additional funds? You eliminate the only thing that they have in Century Code, which is property tax. There's no other taxing authority that a school district has. There is nowhere to go. What are they going to do? There is no answer to this, by the way. But the initiated measure is not thought out very well. And if we pass this, if it gets on the ballot with its 31,164 signatures that they need, I'm concerned that we will vote and get rid of property taxes. And there is a lot of unintended consequences. That isn't my time to quit, right? Oh, good.
We are in the fourth quarter of the ballgame, though.
Okay.
Thank you for the buzzer.
Okay. The other thing that's going to happen is property values are going to go up a lot. If we eliminate property taxes, outside investors, especially large investors, are going to come into the state of North Dakota, buy a lot of agricultural land. They will love apartment buildings. They will love everything because they have no responsibility to pay for fire service, for law enforcement, for roads, for snow removal, for everything that we need in cities and counties and in the state. That is truly unfortunate. We will drive ag property prices up sky high when we look at that. And the biggest unintended consequence that I'm concerned about is what's called in lieu of property taxes. As you're well aware, all of the oil-related activity in the West, they don't pay property taxes on oil rigs, on tanks, on all their infrastructure, on everything. How they do it is through an extraction tax in lieu of property taxes. So if I'm the oil industry, what I'm going to do is say, if we eliminate property taxes, why are we paying in lieu of property taxes, which is a 5% off the top line of their revenue? So think about that. 50% of our revenue in the state comes from oil and gas. If we lose half of that, we're in big trouble. There is no place in the budget, the state budget, to cover the $2.5 billion that's needed to replace property taxes. It's not there. They say legislature is wasting money, and they point out lots of places in which we should just cut. Tell me exactly where you want to cut on that budget. Because if you look at the line items, you can make all kinds of statements, big top line statements that, yeah, you can replace the $2.5 billion. Tell me exactly what you want to cut. Especially if we look at the biggest budgets, health and human services. What do you want to do? Do you want to kick all of the elderly out of nursing homes? Because that's $350 million. Or in education, do you want to cut back on education? Tell us exactly where you'd like to, in K through 12 or higher ed. Because it's not possible from what I see. I have to tell you, it's not there, and that concerns me. So there's a lot of unintended consequences that we're dealing with here that we certainly want to make sure that everybody understands.
Yeah, Senator Rummel, there's an economist quote that sometimes there are no solutions, there are only trade-offs. We intentionally invited you on stage to open a year-long conversation about the trade-offs, about what's being proposed to us here. Your audience has been a good tennis audience on this topic, so thank you for your perspective. Quickly hit the bullet points. Where might North Dakota taxpayers see some relief in the year ahead?
You know, the relief that I would be looking at, I'm serving on the intern committee right now for tax reduction. We're going to continue to look at property tax reduction. There are some things that we can do. How can you do it? Those of us that are familiar with the formula and how you get to taxable valuation. You start with true and full value. You take 50%, and 9% of that is where we get the value that's going to be taxed for resident, 10% for commercial. If I target just the residential, what I can do there, what I'm proposing, is that we're going to take it from 9 to 8%. Every 1% costs the state $62.5 million a year. And so there are ways to target the residential. Let's give it an opportunity or a chance to do that. We can't throw out the baby with the bathwater, just throw everything out. That makes no sense whatsoever. Let's target where we need to target. The homestead tax credit is expanded. I think you're going to continue to see an expansion there. We could also look at the targeted residential primary residence tax. It's $500 this year. We certainly can easily, now that it's set up with the county, all the counties are in alignment with the state of North Dakota, this would be easily changed and increased. So you're going to see all kinds of attention there. But again, we have proposals on the table. Eliminate all income taxes, which personally I'm not going to be in favor of. The governor is very much pushing towards that, but that's an $878 million reduction. You also see the property tax transfer to the state, which is $2.5 billion. There's just no way you can do all of that. It's not possible.
Thank you for that. I hope you'll forgive us if we go to 1:31. I will forgive you if you personally have to excuse yourself. We are wrapping up here, but our DSU TR scholars, they must have heard me say I want you to stand for 45 minutes rather than be seated. So they've been waiting here patiently, and Aaron Anderson's getting way too comfortable. So I'm inviting our DSU TR scholar forward, who's got the question for Aaron first, and please introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Madison Beckler. I'm a student at Dickinson State University, and as Carter mentioned, also in our honors program. And my question for you, Aaron, is what are the intended results of the CTE Center for the community, schools, and employers that will prove its success in the future?
Yeah, great question. Help addressing the workforce. We're going to see it with your new employees. Starting in the coming years, as our students, our graduates, will hopefully transition on to a post-secondary education, whether it's at DSU or other institutions, and come right back here and work in Dickinson. We hope that there are success stories talking about the great things that they learned, the programs that open up their eyes to new opportunities, and share their successes from the time that they spent at our campus. In addition, I think it's the continued expansion of our work-based learning program, getting our students out into your businesses where they are learning on the job, receiving credit, and building those relationships with you, the local employers. That's ultimately, I think, the key to our workforce needs here in Southwest North Dakota, is making sure we build relationships before a student graduates from high school and retain that talent here. Too many times we hear the stories of the students moving away, whether it's Fargo, Grand Forks, Minneapolis, Rapid. We have talented young people here in Dickinson and Southwest North Dakota. Southwest is a piece of trying to retain them and keep them here. Yeah.
I heard storytelling. I want you to know that he has a podcast studio, and maybe we should launch a podcast starting today and say it will involve CTE and DSU and the Chamber and those who have supported your work. I think that's a piece to the puzzle. Thank you, Maddie, for your question. Next question is going to go to Mayor Decker, substituting for Robbie. And so here comes the question.
And I am a student assistant director for the Theodore Roosevelt Honors Leadership Program here at DSU. So I am actually from Montana, so it's very informative for me to get information about the state of the city from you, Mayor Decker, and the other panelists as well, so thank you for that. My question was intended for Robbie, but I will angle it more towards you. Being that we are from the TRHLP at Dickinson, how do you intend that students, college students, anywhere from DSU or the western side of North Dakota in general, will be able to be given opportunities to get involved with the Presidential Library in Medora?
Ooh, that was maybe shouldn't have said put me in, Coach. Well, I hope the partnerships will expand between not only the Presidential Library, DSU, because they have the data wing, all the writings of Theodore Roosevelt at DSU, and us as a city. We're hoping to expand some of our quality of life features, the Dinosaur Museum, some of our outdoor rec, that we can retain individuals that go to Dickinson State. They can become part of that program either with the Medora Foundation, in the Presidential Library, or continuing to work in our community to help promote the tourism that's going to be happening out here. The trifecta that I know tourism, North Dakota, and even our local CVB have been working on is the Mount Rushmore, Presidential Library, the National Park, and then Yellowstone. If we can get those individuals to come here, spend time in Montana, spend time in North Dakota, spend time in South Dakota, and we can get them on that big rotation, it offers you as a scholar there opportunities in this area to interact in the actual library or with city activities, or go back to your home state, which I hope you don't. I hope you stay here, and be part of that big tourism. I mean, they're talking about bringing Amtrak back. And one of the big reasons they're talking about bringing Amtrak back through Dickinson is the Presidential Library, and having that a line from Fargo that runs over to, and I don't know if Terry's here, but it runs to the connection point up in Montana. And we're working very hard right now to get a connector and get them to stop here in Dickinson. And I would even like them to stop in Medora, I think. So I think there's a lot of opportunities as scholars. You can get into a government activity, a government job, or you can look at it as an entrepreneur and move forward, depending on whatever you get as a degree. So I think there's just a lot of opportunity in Southwest North Dakota, Eastern Montana, Northwestern South Dakota, that the Presidential Library will open up for everyone.
Yeah, those of you DSU students who came here from elsewhere, we hope Dickinson and North Dakota feel like home to you. Thank you, Natalie. We'll have you hand off the microphone to Senator Rummel. Our last question of the day happens to come from a DSU and Dickinson native.
Yeah, my name is Griffin Obergewich. I'm from Dickinson, graduated from DHS in 2021. First, Carter and the Chamber of Commerce, thank you for letting us in here. Ty, who's mad at me, thank you for paying us in here. And then on behalf of Natalie, Maddie, and Braxton, thank you for having us. On behalf of the 59 scholars we have in the TRHOP, thank you for all the business leaders. All of you have provided opportunities for our scholars to grow and employ them or give them mentorship, whatever it is. Senator Rummel, Senator Warner, thank you for your leadership. Thank you for your example. And that kind of leads into my question. For young, aspiring people looking to enter into public engagement or leadership, Senator Rummel, can you share any experience or advice for them to get involved?
Thanks, Griffin, for the question. I first want to start out and tell you that you're at one of the most amazing universities in the state of North Dakota. I think whoever graduated from that university are outstanding. I'm glad you're in the leadership program. Of course, we have a lot of our representatives out of Dickinson are graduates of DSU. And so my hat's off to President Easton, who is a graduate of 1980, because I remember it. That's the year I graduated too. Your involvement as leaders, you already are leaders, and it's amazing. The program, again, I certainly acknowledge it and understand it, but what I would like to suggest is the road I took. I had a professor by the name of Bill Getz. Bill Getz was a business instructor at Dickinson State University, and he kind of fooled me into getting into politics. What he did is he said that, sooner or later, you need to probably get involved with civic engagement. And he said, I was a business major, accounting. He said, we need a treasurer for District 37. Would you be interested in at least just taking care, of the treasury? And I said, yeah, I would be interested in doing that. I certainly understand that. That was 34 years ago. I am still the treasurer of District 37 Republicans. So he kind of fooled me, but what it gave me is an opportunity to meet people like Senator Wardner, Senator Olien. Bill Getz became Senator Getz, the senators and the representatives and all statewide candidates. It gives you that opportunity to meet all of those and see how it works, to see what you can do. So I would encourage you first, get involved in a political party. I don't care which one, just get involved. Start there. I would shadow the mayor if you're really interested in doing some things. There's lots of politicians, there's lots of leadership that I'm sure if you asked, you could shadow for a period of time to get a feel for what they do. I also think that you could come to the legislature at any time and sit on the floor. It's a great opportunity for you to do that. Every legislature allows that. So this past year I had numerous people sit with me on the Senate floor. It's a humbling experience for me to walk into the Senate in the first place, but also to have a student with me. It is absolutely a wonderful learning experience. So I would encourage you to get out and vote. You only have to be here for 30 days. Even if you're from Montana, you can vote here after 30 days. We'd love to have you vote. So there's a presidential caucus coming up on March the 4th. We'd love to have you there to vote. That's one of the ways that we certainly can get you involved, and we'd really appreciate that involvement. Get involved in a political campaign. Some might be pretty interesting. I don't know if I'd want to get involved in Trump's right now, but there are others that you can certainly get involved in. And again, that's a very good learning experience for you for that. So there's lots of boards that you can get involved in. If you're interested in the library board, or if you're interested in county commissioners, we have them all here, or many of them here today, all the city commissioners. Those are opportunities, again, that you can, I'm sure they'd be happy to have you attend their meetings. You would shock the school board members if you showed up at a school board meeting, because we never had anybody hardly show up for those, and especially if you had interests or ideas that you wanted to share with them. So your involvement is what we'd be after, and I certainly encourage you to do that. We need leaders like you. You're our future, and I really appreciate you being here today.
You bet. I've heard it said, say yes and figure out the details later. That's worked for me like 60% of the time. So good luck with that. Thank you for saying yes to participating today. The Chamber has a business after hours coming up in February with the Dickinson Press. We have the Ag Livestock Forum. We have our annual banquet. We're going to display those details on the way out. If you're in trouble with your boss, send them my way. It's my fault. We ran over by a couple minutes, but we think we had a great program today. We appreciate you being part of it. We will see you next time. That's all for our program. Thank you, everybody. Have a great day.